Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada around the world. My name is Tahir Qureshi. I'm a fellow of Royal Institute of Canada, broker of record for City Pro Realty Inc. brokerage. We're going to talk about renting versus buying a home. As you know, the cost of borrowing money has become a challenge for many home buyers, particularly first-time home buyers. So what are the challenges or what are the preferences for home buyers who are upgrading, selling smaller, buying a bigger one, or downsizing, selling a bigger home or buying another home, or considering to rent it based on the circumstances that we're facing in our market in real estate. Before we think about buying or renting, challenge that we face is shortage of housing. In the past couple of decades, our government focused, particularly in Ontario, was not about creating affordable housing, or builders did not see a market for rental home. Therefore, they decided to go with building homes, apartments, and building subdivisions and focus on building smaller town to big city because people can't afford it. So we have to find out what is the difference between renting and buying it. So most importantly for you to figure is a couple of things. Let's say you want to rent a property. You know that at the moment, rental are very significantly high. You know why? Because people are buying the property, they are paying a big financing charges. And the monthly mortgage payment does not cover the rent. Or rental will be cheaper than what the financing of a mortgage per month will be, depending on is it for your personal use or for renting purposes as an investment. For example, you want to rent a house. So you look at the detached home, detached home, semi-detached, or a condo apartment. In Toronto, a single condo apartment, about 500 square feet, will cost you about $2,550 to $2,600 per month. It may not include the water or electric meter, which may include cost to you about $100 to $150 more on top of that. Now, if you want to buy an apartment, average price, you're talking about $650 to $700, $700,000 for a house, a condo. Price difference from city to city, location to location. I'm giving you average approximately a price that will cost you, because the cost will be different. So now let's assume that you bought a house unit, you're paying 5.5% to 7% financing, depending on your borrowing capacity, your leverage. So it costs you $3,500 based on the deposit you give, and costs you to $3,500 for a one-bedroom apartment to own it. And you rent it, you're probably going to get about $2,500 to $2,700 per month. So you have a deficit that you have to carry, okay? And being an owner, you have advantage versus renting. I'll give you an example of that as well. So now, when you rent the same unit, for example, the entire payment is going toward the owner and homeowner or landlord, who has borrowed the money, they can write off expenses, show as an investment property, and all mortgage interest payments are lean toward a tax reduction as a cost of doing business. Obviously, when they will lose money because they own it for a higher value, there is a deficit between the renting amount versus the mortgage. They have to pay property taxes. They also have to pay the maintenance of the building if it's a condominium. If there's a freehold, then you only pay property taxes, and every utility is covered by the tenant. The tenant will have ability to claim expenses if they are permitted self-employed or whatever under their tax program. There should be some adjustment input tax credit. You need to speak to your chartered accountant to find out how it will impact you. Do you get any benefit because of renting it? I'm sure there is some subsidy or some discount available to you through filing your tax return. But you have no value or you benefit in terms of equity into the house. So that means each year, if the value of the property increases, and you as a tenant have to pay interest, the increase rental based on the Residence Tenancy Tribunal rental guidelines from the Ontario government, and how much increase, 1%, 2% due to inflation rate. And that increase of rent every year you have to pay additional rent. Obviously, if you have that money, you want to either rent the property and you save that money between the rental amount and possible purchased and maintenance taxes. So for example, that 700,000 unit, the condo unit that you bought, let's say you are paying about $4,000 taxes. So you divide by 12, every month you pay that. You're paying a mortgage. Maybe you are paying maybe $300 to $400 is a new building maintenance. So that will be add up to your cost of expenses. So your mortgage is $3,500. You're paying $300 or $400 property taxes. You're paying $300, $400 maintenance. So your cost is almost $4,000. But your return on investment is only $2,500 to $2,700. So there is a $1,300 to $1,500 difference in the price. Now, when you're renting it, you are saving that money. Times 12, that's the money you save. But on the purchasing side, if you bought that property, let's assume that you bought for $700 and you carried it for 1 year. So let's assume that you have spent about $16,000 from your pocket over and above what you got the rental. So that is times $16,000 as a per year. Now, did the property value increase $16,000 a year? Because you have the two things. When you paying the mortgage or somebody is paying your mortgage, you are building your equity. Your 40% approximately is going toward principal. And the balance goes to interest payment. Interest payment, you write. Now, the principal is increasing, and when you sell at a later date, and that will come back to you, deposit plus your equity and future value, whatever price that you sell in a year, 2 years. So let's assume, now based on today's Toronto Regional Real Estate Board Market Watch, there was a 4.2% price increase in average from last July to this July. In a day or two, we'll have August pricing. So whatever price was in July last year, 22, we have increased now 4.2% from that amount from July to July. Overall, in 23, from January to now, we have increased about $79,000 to $80,000 because May was the highest, then it started coming down. And January obviously was the lowest price. I'm talking about 2023. So if you are expected or you gain about 3% of your value, so you bought it for 700,000, so that's a 21,000. So that means you gain about 3% for 1 year that you hold the property, even though you spent about 16, 17,000 combined with the difference between rental income versus expense mortgage payment, property taxes and maintenance costs, or any other repairs on top of that. So now you add them up. If you are carrying that property for 1, 2, 3 years, and you can see momentum that interest rates start coming down, my predicament now is that it's not likely to come down in this year, maybe toward end of 24, most likely in 25, because inflation rate in June was 2.8 and in July it came 3.3. So it increased for various reasons. Therefore, I do not expect any policy benchmark rate coming down from Bank of Canada, and potentially I expect maybe 0.5% going up in September because they want to control that. They don't want this interest rate, the inflation rate to stay up, and instead of going up, down is going up again. So this is where the predicament is. So if you are carrying a house, you have to look at this. Is it costing me from my pocket? Because when you don't get the equity built because of mortgage payment, you don't want to lose that, because not having equity, you are losing it by not gaining an equity. For example, if you have a variable mortgage, and beginning of last year our prime rate was 2.45. I borrowed some money for kids' education, thing like that. Same amount, I am paying 7.2% interest rate because line of credit. It goes up and down with the prime rate. Okay, so now the same amount that I borrowed a year and a half ago, I am paying 3 times the interest on that, from 2.45 to 7.2. Same money is already spent. And that's a danger of having a variable mortgage. But also you have flexibility, because possibility was that we're expecting that if the inflation rate is controlled this year, we'll be able to automatically take a benefit of the decline in interest rate if that was happening. One thing you have to remember, that if the interest rates go up, that means the bank is making less money because it's costing them more money to borrow, and they are making a percentage of the profit. Versus if they borrow for 1 and give it to you for 3, they're making 200% profit. So now their profitability has gone down. On top of that, we have less and less sales and transaction. It has impacted the industry. Construction, renovation, lawyer, real estate, mortgage, painter, plumber, electrician, carpenter, lawyers, everybody is impacted because of transactions are less. So if cost of borrowing or property you own or you're going to own is going to carry, and you do the calculation, if you are physically able to manage this. So rental, when they're renting it, they're not gaining anything, except that they're saving the price difference between buying it or renting it. Let's say $1,500 a month. So they can save $15,000 plus maybe another $18,000 they can save. if the price or value of the property increase 4%, 5%, then they will lose in not buying it. Because if the carrying cost is also about 16,000 after getting paid mortgage and property taxes and maintenance fee, I'm talking about condominium, and you still have to carry, but you gain it in equity because your payment paid by the tenant, and you're putting it and you're adding some money from yourself. And that equity building is one thing that you are increasing your equity. Let's assume you put 20% down, so you have a 20% there. On top of that, every payment that you make, about 40% goes to your principal. And when in 1, 2, 3 years evaluation appraisal, let's assume you want to reinvest the property, you want to get an appraisal done. Appraisal came to, let's say, 900,000 in 2 years. So that means you achieve a gain of about 200,000. Obviously, you have a closing cost about 2%, 14,000. And if you're buying in Toronto, it'd be 3.5% to 4% of the purchase price. But that's still a small amount as compared to the gain that you get. So you not only gain the capital market valuation and gain from there, you also have an equity. So you have a benefit of combining together. And if you predict it for 5 years, let's assume for mathematical purposes, let's assume that you gain $20,000 a year. In 5 years, you gain 100,000. That's a equity by paying the mortgage. Then evaluation came out 200,000. So you paid, let's say, 150,000 before. Your equity, you add another 100,000, and then you have an appreciation of 200,000. So these are the calculations that you have to do to make sure that is it a good idea to buy it? Can I take the risk? And on top of that, the must thing you have to remember, if this is the only house that you have, you want to buy it to enjoy it with the family and the condominium, semi, townhomes, or detached home, then I recommend you do this calculation. If you have, I need some help, call me, 416-451-3489. I do the calculation for you. And then I give you, and you can also go to my website, city-pro.net, and you go to resources section and ask to send you a guideline or rented versus buying a home. And it's a written, give you all calculations and how you can calculate and create your budget. So how much it costs you as a rental and how much it costs you buying the property, and also considering appreciation of the value of the property and also your equity contribution as you make the payment. So this is very, very important. If you are going to buy only one house for your family, I recommend, based on my assessment, buyer always gain. And also when you're thinking about buying a real estate, don't think about short term. You need to look about 3 to 5 years time before you make a change. So that would allow the uncertainty and challenges in the marketplace to settle down. So therefore you are able to stabilize, the market will stabilize, and you have the opportunity to take maximum benefit of market trend and prediction that's happening in the marketplace. You can go to Canadian Real Estate Association website, courier.ca, and you can see the forecasting. Even though forecasting for 23 is negative across Canada based on Ontario as well, but 24 is positive. That means they're predicting things will start changing in 24. And we're hoping that the inflation rate will go down and towards the end of this year, or maybe early in the first quarter of 24, and then interest rate might come down. Cost of borrowing, cost of building, construction and material cost, overhead, direct cost, transportation cost, and import of goods from overseas, material, everything has gone up. Architect, engineer, plumbers, electrician, mason, they're all charging more money. So never ever the cost of a house is going to come down in a significant way. Every 10 years, the price have doubled. And recently, in this pandemic, we have a tremendous increase in value. And obviously, shortage of housing is a big challenge, where the government of Ontario wants to build 1 per 5 million houses, and they're allowing some area, green area, environmental protected area, to build homes, and there's a lot of controversies and issues there. But because we have immigrants are coming in, a lot of them, 500,000 a year, where are they going to go? They go to Vancouver, they go to Toronto or GTA areas. And that's why the cost of housing will not go down. If you can't afford a house, and you have to rent it, and what is the choice? And if you start paying $3,000, $2,500 to $3,000 with a family of two, you're definitely spending about $3,000 a month. Where you can save money? And newer people will take much longer to establish down payment. They need to work a couple of years. So we're going to take a short break. We'll come back and we'll continue our conversation on renting versus buying a home. Thank you.
हसीन लगना तो सभी चाहते हैं, मगर हुस्न का निखार तभी मुमकिन है जब आपका स्टाइलिस्ट हो एक्सपर्ट एंड क्वालिफाइड। ब्यूटी बार एंड ब्राइडल, ऑल एक्सपर्टीज इन वन पॉइंट। हमारे यहाँ थ्रेडिंग, लेटेस्ट फेशियल ट्रीटमेंट, बेस्ट बॉडी वैक्सिंग, मेकओवर जैसा आप चाहें, जबरदस्त ब्राइडल पैकेज, मैनिक्योर, पेडिक्योर, केराटिन ट्रीटमेंट, क्रायो हेयर ट्रीटमेंट और बहुत कुछ जो आपके हुस्न को 4 चांद लगा दे। तो देर किस बात की, अभी विजिट कीजिए ब्यूटी बार एंड ब्राइडल। वी आर लोकेटेड एट 5150 डिक्सी रोड, यूनिट 6, मिसिसागा। अवार्ड विनिंग इंडियन ब्यूटी सैलून। For appointments, call now 437-324-2885. Beauty Bar and Bridal, one stop beauty salon.
मुसलमान होने के नाते हमें इस बात पे फख्र है कि हम हलाल तरीके से जिंदगी गुजार रहे हैं, लेकिन आपको इस बात का कैसे पता चलेगा जिन हेल्थ सप्लीमेंट्स का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं वो हलाल हैं या नहीं? पेश करते हैं न्यूट्रिलक्स। हमारे पास बेहतरीन क्वालिटी और रेंज ऑफ हेल्थ सप्लीमेंट्स मौजूद हैं जो कि हलाल सर्टिफाइड हैं और 100% वीगन हैं। बच्चों के लिए हमारे पास मजेदार गमी की शक्ल में विटामिन्स मौजूद हैं जो उनकी जरूरी ग़िज़ाइयत को हासिल करना आसान और खुशगवार बनाते हैं। मर्दों के लिए हमारे सप्लीमेंट सेहतमंद और तंदुरुस्त रहने का आसान तरीका पेश करते हैं, चाहे आप एक एथलीट हो, बिजी प्रोफेशनल या पेरेंट। ख़वातीन के लिए हमारे सप्लीमेंट्स हैं जो आपकी मजमूई सेहत और तंदुरुस्ती में मदद करते हैं, चाहे आप अपनी एनर्जी को बढ़ाना चाहते हैं या अपने स्किन और बालों को सेहतमंद रखना चाहते हैं। और बुजुर्गों के लिए हमारे टैबलेट्स आपकी सेहत की खुसूसी जरूरियात को पूरा करने और आपकी उम्र के साथ साथ आपको एक्टिव और इंडिपेंडेंट रहने में एक अहम किरदार अदा करती है। न्यूट्रिलक्स सप्लीमेंट्स जिंदगी के हर मरहले के लिए, ताकि आप अपने हलाल अख्तार पर कायम रह सकें।
HK Movers, home, offices, apartments and delivery, big or small, we move it all.
HK Movers.
Local and long distance, we also ship cars, Keller transport and moving services.
For service with a smile, give us a call.
Call Mr. Harminder 416-524-6704.
416-524-6704 पे.
Visit 140 Advance Boulevard, Unit number 10, Brampton.
Long distance moving specialist.
HK Movers. HK Movers.
मैं नासिर शाह, आपका मॉर्गेज ब्रोकर। अगर आपको मॉर्गेज चाहिए, किसी तरह की, होटल लेना है, मोटल लेना है, गैस स्टेशन लेना है या किसी प्लाजे में कोई यूनिट बाई करना है, तो उसके लिए आप हमें कॉल करें। हम 2 चीजों की गारंटी करते हैं, आपको बेस्ट टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन और बेस्ट रेट दिलाएंगे। आप कॉल करें 647-741-9000, 647-741-9000।
आदाब, नमस्ते और सत श्री अकाल। जब भी बात होती है कार एक्सीडेंट की तो हम तलाश करते हैं एक लॉयर को, और हमारे पास मौजूद हैं चैंपियन। जी हाँ, डेविड हेमोफार।
Yes, thank you. I'm David Himmelfarb. I have over 30 years experience in personal injury matters. We have a downtown Toronto location with over 22 lawyers to service you. And we speak your language, Urdu, Punjabi and Hindi. We have a great community liaison, Anjum Qureshi.
आप हमें कॉल कर सकते हैं 416-570-0157.
Welcome to City Pro Realty. We are 100% Canadian family-owned real estate brokerage. If you are thinking of buying or selling residential or commercial real estate, think of us. Call us. We are one-stop solution provider for your real estate needs. Our passion is real estate. Your success is our priority. Our commission plans to meet your budget. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. A family serving family. To search for sale properties and free reports, visit www.citypro.net.
डिक्सी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स और अप्लायंसेस पिछले 16 सालों से खरीदारों की खिदमत कर रहे हैं। हम लगातार 4 सालों से खरीदारों की पहली पसंद बने रहने का अवार्ड हासिल कर चुके हैं। हम किचनर्स, बॉश, वर्लपूल, एलजी, सैमसंग और जनरल इलेक्ट्रिक के ऑथराइज्ड डीलर हैं। 5 स्टार खिदमत का लुत्फ लें। हम आप सभी को टीवी सबसे ज्यादा रियायती दामों पर देने की गारंटी देते हैं। www.dixieelectronics.ca हमारी वेबसाइट पर जाएं या अभी कॉल करें 9056255900। सभी बहुत ही मुनासिब कीमत पर दस्तयाब हैं जो आप बाआसानी से ले सकते हैं। At Dixie, we sell quality and deliver confidence.
Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada around the world. My name is Tahir Qureshi. I'm a fellow of Royal Institute of Canada, broker of record for City Pro Realty Inc. brokerage. Where tonight's topic is renting versus buying a home. So, most important thing you have to remember is to create a budget. This is very, very important. So, if you are renting a property, you can download a report. I want you to visit city-pro.net and select the free real estate reports. We have about 10 reports, 10 helpful home buying secrets, 10 questions to ask when hiring a realtor, 8 common home selling mistakes, considering for a sale by the owner, guide to finding the right home, how to get more for your home, renting versus buying, return on renovations guide, tips for an easier move, and also 10 top reasons to move. When you are making a financial decision, why to buy or rent, you create a budget and find out how much is the cost of renting. When you're renting it, you are responsible in renting a property during the tenancy of the agreement, and you have to be very careful not to damage, excluding normal wear and tear, because you are using someone's property. And if you damage anything, you'll be responsible for that. So there are always restrictions. Some has animal issues, not to have a cat or dog. Some has an issue with smoking. And there is a lot of restriction. And that if you agree to things in the listing agreement, then you will have to abide by it. Plus, you are paying a rent, you are paying somebody else's mortgage. So you have no benefit except that you file for your tax return. You may have a rebate, some sort of a input tax credit because you're renting the property. And not all of us can afford in the beginning when you are a newcomer to Canada, unless you bring money from overseas. You need to save money, you have to work a couple of years, save money to put down, unless your parents can lend you money. So when you are renting it, you're not earning any equity because you are paying a rent. And you're not getting any benefit of appreciation of the value of the property. 2. So therefore, you may be able to save money if you buy it, how much it will cost you to buy it, how much will be mortgage based on the interest rate of whether you qualify or not. Let's assume you qualify, but you don't want to buy it. How much will be carrying cost, and then property taxes, and also home insurance, utilities on top of that. And then you say, okay, it's cost me $30,000 or $40,000, whatever, that annually to own it. But if I rent it, it will cost me $25,000, including all the utilities and everything. So I am saving $15,000 a year, for example. So if you plan to rent it for 3 years, that's a $45,000 that you are not able to benefit from it. Now, if you are buying in the same house, you may be not getting the full rent that you want. But you have an option. If it's a detached home, you can get your basement finished and second dwelling approved by your municipality where you are. And you create a separate entrance and you can get. A detached home, if you have a detached home, you can get about $4,000 rental in Mississauga. If you have a basement, a nice finish basement, $2,500 to $2,700. So that means you are able to make about $6,500 a year, a month, times your full 1 year cost of owning it. So now, most likely with that investment, or this is already finished, you may be able to carry it. To carry a mortgage now and always 36 to 40% to break even. Because rent has gone up, so is the cost of borrowing. Carrying cost has gone up. But as a landlord, you have to pay for the property taxes, major issues with the maintenance of the building, and also any property taxes or anything else that requires a major repair, appliances or whatever that you furnish. So an insurance of the building, tenant will have their own insurance. So if it'll cost you from your pocket $500,000 a month more, but appreciation of a house of your, let's say 1.5, will appreciate very significantly. Even 2% will give you a lot of increase. Therefore, you are able to offset that expense from your pocket until you're ready to sell it. Or in 3-4 years, when market turn around, you sell it at the high value, therefore you have gained it. Particularly, you live in a basement and rent it upstairs, and the cost will cover a significant amount of the mortgage. So this is why it's very important to do the calculation. Talk to a real estate professional. Give me a call, 416-451-3489. My office number is 905-785-9923. We have a 5-star Google rating, reviews. So we will help you to understand that. More importantly, I recently met a family. They are on a work permit. They wanted to buy a house. So I did some investigation. Under the federal government regulation, they did some exemption now. People who have lived 183 days in Canada and they are on a work permit, they can buy the property. But issue is not just buying the property. Issue is about non-residence speculation tax in Ontario, for example, because there is a 25%, and that is not exempt because you are not a PR. So I suggested to my client, I'm going to help and get your PR, and then you buy it. Otherwise, if you're buying a $1.5 million house, 25%, that's 250,000. And then you have another $500,000. So that's a 175,000. So you'll be paying over $400,000 in non-speculation, tax, non-residence speculation tax, which is 25%. And rebate program, you have to talk to chartered accountant to see how much you can get back. But that's very significant value. And especially when you're a first-time buyer and you want to buy it, you want to check this out. If you want to put 20% down payment, you need 25% as a non-resident speculation tax. Make no sense. So it's better to get your PR, permanent residence status, and then you buy it. You might have to wait. And this is what I recommended to my client, because our ethics under law, Real Estate Business Broker Act 2002, and also soon to be TRESA, Trust in Real Estate Services Act of 2002, starting from 1st December 2023, we need to protect the interest of our client. So you give a competent, honest advice professionally in the best interest of your client. So I told them to wait until you get your PR, and then you will help you to buy it. If you wish to watch our Realty Coffee Talk program, you can go to realtycoffeetalk.com and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can go to Awaz Entertainment, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube channel, and watch our episode. The goal of our Realty Coffee Talk is to increase awareness, building consumer trust in real estate, and also promote good ethic and professional practices in our profession. So we broadcast our program every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Awaz Entertainment in Canada, around the world. Thank you for watching. We welcome your feedback. If you have any question, feel free to give us a call. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Bye for now. May God bless you all. May God bless Canada. Thank you. Good night.